Hello Cancer, and welcome to your Taurus New Moon card reading. So the Taurus New Moon is taking place on the 22nd of April. This day is also Earth Day. It is also the day of the final 444 portal. So the first 4 is for April, the 4th month of the year. The second 4 is for the 2 plus 2, the 22nd. And then the third 4 is for the 4 universal year that we are in. If you add 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 0, that is 4. In numerology, 4 is a number of foundations. During this 444 portal, it opened on the 4th of April. It reopened on the 13th of April. And the 22nd of April is the final day that it will open. We will not have another 444 portal for the year of 2020. These portals have brought a really rapid ascension, rapid growth, boosts of intuition. It's been a really spiritual time. You might have noticed this if you were extremely emotional lately. That could be, kind of being a little bit more kind of sad, tearful, nostalgic than usual. You might have known this, you might have experienced this emotionality as like lethargy, just feeling unmotivated, kind of tired, sluggish. Some of the physical symptoms that people experience during Ascension is headaches, some indigestion issues, just body fatigue, kind of feeling out of it, not feeling like your normal energy levels, maybe extra high energy, extra low energy. I myself am a Cancer, and I've experienced a lot of digestive issues. Cancer is prone to stomach and foot issues, so just FYI if you didn't know. Some more astrology is that the planet of Uranus is conjunct with the Taurus New Moon at this time. So Uranus rules changes, the unexpected, surprises. So you might experience some shakeups and changes that you didn't see coming. You might experience some shakeups and changes in areas that you knew you needed to make changes in, but just couldn't seem to push yourself to make those changes. I know I've experienced those things, especially with like health and nutrition, again, digestive issues. And you might see those shakeups around things that are ruled by Taurus, which is, prosperity, growth, liberation, finances, value, worth. And then because the 22nd is also Earth Day, we're going to see some things with grounding. And so, what does grounding look like in our everyday life? Grounding has to do with our boundaries. So Cancers, we are water signs, and, boundaries can be a little bit tricky for a lot of us. We are emotional creatures as water signs, and boundaries are something that we aren't taught those things. We learn them through experience. And so if you find yourself putting forward like really rigid boundaries and then kind of swaying back to like really soft, squishy boundaries and then back and forth, just know that this is how we learn boundaries. If we have not been taught healthy boundaries, if we haven't experienced the things that force us to implement boundaries, the way that we learn is through contradiction. The way that we learn what warm feels like is learning what cold and what hot both feel like, so that we can find the middle ground of warm. And I feel like that's really how boundaries work for a lot of us, that we start out with really soft, squishy boundaries, or even a lack of boundaries, and then something happens and we really implement these high rigid walls, and then we realize we can't let anybody in with those high walls, and so we kind of find this middle ground. So those are some of the things that you might see coming up with the new moon conjunction with Uranus. So I've pulled 3 cards for you from the Psychic Tarot. So we'll get into this card reading for the Taurus New Moon. So Cancer, the first card I have pulled for you is the card, it's Patience in the Psychic Tarot deck. In the traditional tarot, it is Temperance. And so tempering is really taking hot water, cold water, mixing little by little to create warm water. And so, temperance and patience are very much, related. That, this person as we can see, she's manifesting this flower, right? Her third eye, her crown chakra, you know, she can see this flower growing, but it requires patience, because where she is in the practical is that she's just got the seed, you know, and that it needs time to grow and get sunlight and be fertilized before it can grow into this beautiful orchid or lily. I'm not sure which one that is, because I'm not a gardener. I'm not good with plants, but you know, that there are changes, because this 14, 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 is the number of change. There are changes that maybe we want to implement, that in our minds, we can see exactly what they will look like when they are complete. But the disconnect is that we are starting here with, you know, step 1, baby step of this seed that we're literally just now putting in the ground. And so the new moon is such a great time for setting intentions, which is literally like planting a seed. You know, setting intention is like planting a seed with a thought, you know, of what you want to manifest, what you want to bring into your life. And so just understanding that it's not going to happen as fast as you want it to happen. Cancers, we can be a little bit impatient, speaking of myself. You know, that we want this flower when we want it. And it's hard for us to reconcile that we are in stage 1 of planting the seed, when in our minds, this is what we want. This is, why can't we just have this? You know, but the patience that's required to allow this flower to grow is really where the journey is, where the work is. So, you know, with this new moon, setting some intentions and understanding that, you know, the things that we want to grow, they need their own time to grow. They have their own process that they have to go through. So that's the first card for you, Cancer. The second card is this Rest and Rejuvenate card. So as we can see, another 4, with this 444 portal, if it's been hitting you really hard, if the energy has been really big, if you've had a lot of big emotions you're processing, personally for me, there's been a lot of shadow stuff coming up that I really wasn't aware that affected me until really recently. And this shadow stuff is really from my childhood, way back, almost 4 decades. And so just understanding that, like, when we do the work, when we are sitting with the changes, the shakeups, the things that are happening, whether we are intentionally going into that work or whether that work has come to us through life circumstances, that, you know, a very important part of maintaining, you know, that sense of grounding. I mean, this guy's literally grounding. He's sitting on the earth in the forest, is that we need that time to rest and rejuvenate. So if you have had a chance to look at your natal chart, if you are familiar with what sign your personal planet of Mars is in, for me, my Mars is in Virgo. Virgo is an earth sign. Mars is the planet of action. And so for me, when I need to process energy, when I need to move energy around something that I can't control, when I'm having some impatience and there's big energy in me, I need to get out in nature, whether that's like walking, hiking, touching a tree, sitting in the grass, standing in the, you know, in the backyard barefoot. For me, I need to be out in nature to move that energy. If you have a chance to do your chart and you find that you have your Mars in a fire sign, for you to move that energy, the best thing is to do some really kind of rigorous exercise, something that's going to get you sweating, living room dance party, going for a jog, doing some sprints, lifting some heavy weights. If your Mars is in a water sign, taking a bath, taking a shower, allowing yourself to cry, to process that energy, also working out to get the, you know, to sweat, to get the water energy out of you. And then if you were an air sign, you know, you really are able to do whatever it is that feels good for you. And so for air signs, you know, you guys have a tendency to really think deep into things. So I encourage you just to kind of tap into your body. What does it need to do? Does it need to hula hoop? Does it need a dance party? Does it need to rest and rejuvenate like this card shows? Do you need to be in nature? Do you need to lift up some heavy things and get a good sweat in? So if you have a chance to look at your natal chart and see where your Mars is, what sign your Mars is in, and then see what element that sign is associated, that might help you with this grounding. So the grounding element for Taurus and Earth Day is really what came through for me with this card. And understanding that, you know, when we are not able to process energy in our bodies, we cannot get to a state of rest. So, you know, processing the energy is not about, you know, I don't know, running 3 miles and putting a Facebook post up. Processing the energy, crying it out, dancing it out, running it out, you know, even sex for fire signs, like that's fire, friction. Getting that energy out is what allows us to get to a place where we can rest and rejuvenate and relax. So if you've ever had like a really hard workout, if you've ever played a sport that required like a lot of physical activity, if you've ever played with a toddler, once you're done, like you are ready to rest and relax. So Cancer, that was your second card. The third card that I pulled for you is the waiting game. So this card is really, this is very much Two of Swords energy, you know, and this is very much Four of Wands energy. But like with Two of Swords, we've got this person and they're just kind of in this loop, in this spiral, and there's a balance of things, you know, with this hourglass, you know, that there's always this kind of feeling of maybe like imbalance where, you know, when we flip it over, the sand goes from one side to the other, and the only way that we can get it to come into balance is to flip it on its side. But then that's not how it works, you know. For this hourglass to work, it has to be, you know, right side up or upside down. And so, you know, this imagery of this tree and these roots really kind of, to me, goes back to this patience card, you know, that like we want everything to be in bloom. We want it to be fully grown, but it takes time. It takes patience. There's a waiting game to it that, you know, for this to really grow, these roots need to get grounded into the sand. You know, there needs to be time for like the sun and the oxygen to come in and allow these things to bloom. And so in this time of patience, of waiting, it might feel like you're just kind of doing, like just walking circles, just kind of, it feels like, not stuck, but you're just pacing. You know, you're just kind of pacing around and just waiting for this thing to happen. It reminds me of the movies where like the dad's waiting for the baby to be born. He's just like pacing in the waiting room, like, is the baby okay? Is the mom okay? Just kind of this back and forth, like very circular. And to me, what this feels like is that, you know, we're being given notice that there's a change coming, that, you know, we need to get to a place where we can rest and relax, because everything is about the waiting. That, you know, yes, with the Taurus New Moon, this is a time of growth, liberation, and prosperity. But as Cancers, we want it right now. And, you know, the universe is telling us, like, no, you have to wait. Use that patience to wait for what's coming. And in the meantime, make sure that you're taking care of yourself. So, Cancer, I wish you a beautiful new moon in Taurus. As I mentioned, this is a great time to set intentions around boundaries, prosperity, growth, liberation, finances, self-worth. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the reading, and I will see you for the full moon reading. Bye.